Have you been looking for a way to stay focused on your goals and grow your MSP? Accountability groups from RocketMSP can help. We offer weekly accountability sessions that meet online with a group of your peers. Your success begins with accountability. Go to www.rocketmsp.io to join your accountability group today.
We are live. Well, guys, Guy, there's one of you, Ian, but there's eventually multiple people watching this. There will be literally tens of them. They'll be flocking. So, Ian, thanks for joining me, man. For those of you that don't know, this is Ian Alexander. He is with Syncro. Ian, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself, about Syncro for me?
Yeah, sure. My name is Ian Alexander. I'm Chief Operating Officer and one of the co-founders at Syncro MSP. We're a software platform. We make combined PSA and RMM and all kinds of other things, all in one place. Modern platform with modern business practices, and we like to ship new features that people ask for, and we have fun, and been around for a little while now, and have a lot of traction, and it's been a fun adventure. So awesome. I'm here to hang out.
Well, thanks for joining me. And I gotta say, I'm not sure if you've been keeping up with the videos I've been doing with Crystal over there, but I have been delightfully impressed by Syncro.
I'm glad to hear it.
I'm not gonna say it's the best. I don't think any of them are the best, to be honest. Nothing is exactly what everyone wants, otherwise there'd only be one product.
Right, there's no one size fits all.
There's really not. However, this is really good, especially for the price. What you guys are offering is it's really solid. So let me ask you, you guys are competing against some big names like Autotask, ConnectWise, Kaseya. You guys are even competing against some, I'll call them smaller names, like Atera or Pulseway. I'm sure there's some others I'm not thinking of. No offense to those companies, it's just what popped in my mind. So with that said, how do you determine what you're going to do when you like, let's make an update? Is it, well, XYZ company has this, we should have this too? Or what's kind of your frame of thought with this?
That's a good question. We have a whole process for that. It's a rather large undertaking. I can go through the process and what that looks like, but let me talk a little bit about the high level why behind what we're doing. We've always enjoyed working with small businesses and making it so that their lives are better, making them more efficient, making it so people can spend more time with their kids, or they can make more money, or they can hire that new employee that they really need, or whatever that might be. And I think part of that is just listening to our users. So we don't really look that much at what our competitors are doing. It's almost all just feedback from users on what they want us to build. And we take that feedback in any way we can get it. We have people that send us emails. They call us on the phone. They're in a sales demo. They're on social media. I'm on Reddit all the time, for example. I'm sure you've seen and just watching all the talk there. So we take all that stuff, we compile it into lists, and every so often we walk those lists and we prioritize based on how big the feature might be. So like how much time it's going to take our devs to build, and which devs are available, because some features some devs are going to be better at than others, or it's like, part of their superpower or something to work with that particular technology. And sometimes, and also probably the biggest factor is how many users ask for it. So if we have a thing that is very highly requested and it's large versus many small things that are about the same amount of work and also highly requested. We have to work on like balancing that, right? Because the big thing's going to take longer, which means we have to start it earlier so that it lands at a reasonable time. So there's all this balancing and figuring out what should happen, and all these things are happening in parallel because we have many developers at this point. So we have multiple kind of lanes, different technologies. There's lots of stuff to balance there, and so that whole process we go through, and then we're building stuff, and then we're doing it again. And I don't know if that gives you a little bit of an idea, but
no, it does.
I would say that it, just to say it quickly, it's all based on user feedback. We're not really going out and looking at what everybody else is doing. It doesn't feel super necessary because our users know. If that makes sense.
So you don't need to go do research because let's face it, your users are doing the research already. They're going out, they're looking, and they're trying to figure out which PSA, which RMM is the best one for me. And if it's like, well, this one just has a couple features that's missing from Syncro, if Syncro just added this, I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't even care to be trying to switch. Then they reach out to you, and you add it to the list if it's not already there, or you just do you guys have some type of I know some companies have some type of project management tool like a Trello that we are able to look at?
We don't have a public roadmap. I think there's a couple reasons for that. One, it's a lot of work to manage. We had one for Repair Shopper, one of our other products, and I think it kind of made everyone unhappy. Like, it's a funny thing where I totally get why people want it. But I think what we've seen with those is that the thing that gets the most votes we're already working on. So it doesn't really, because we already know, like, we're already talking to the users, so we already know what the most voted thing is going to be. And it doesn't really help us decide because we're already working on that thing. And then but what ends up happening is we have to say no to people on a lot of little things that only really they want. And they're not the highest thing on the list. And that just makes people upset. And that's not fun for us, and it's not fun for them. So I think there's there's pros and cons. Like I'd love for people to know what we're working on, but I also think it's a full-time job for one of our employees to manage that board, maybe more than one employee. And I'd rather hire a dev.
That's fair. So
so I think
how many developers do you guys have these days?
Our team's we're growing a lot. So I actually don't know because we've hired multiple this month.
Wow.
I think we're past 60 employees now.
Okay. So let's break that down. And I don't need exact numbers per se. I'm just curious.
At least 20.
So 20 people we think are developers, at least.
Yeah.
And then there's some tech support people.
That might be the largest team, maybe second largest. I don't know if there's more or less people on tech support than dev. I probably should know, but I don't have it in my head.
It's on paper somewhere or in an app, and you don't.
Yep, those are by far the two largest.
These are probably just weird questions. Once you get past a certain number of employees, it probably gets a little blurry as to what the number is.
Well, I could probably name them all for you, but I don't know what the number is.
That's
anyway.
That's okay.
Yeah, those are definitely the two largest teams. It's not even close.
So what other teams do you have?
We have a small marketing team. We have a relatively small sales team, although we have a lot of demand right now for demos and whatnot. So that team's been growing, so we can we literally can't get, we have to give people demos when they ask for it. So
and let's be honest, it's I'm sure most of it's thanks to all these videos I'm doing.
100%, yes. We take at the beginning of every demo, we're like, how did you hear about us? And they all say Steve.
Yep, that's gotta be it. That's gotta be it.
So I would say we have a small sales team. We actually have some admin folks now. Like, it wasn't for a while till we had like, well, we're completely remote. So when I say office manager, it's kind of a virtual office manager because there's no
Sure.
office. But we have some folks doing that kind of stuff. HR now, helping us hire because it takes a while to hire good people. Yeah, but I would say the vast majority of people are on the dev side and product side,
Okay.
and in support.
Okay. And then, you've also got an executive team.
Yep.
So I know that Syncro was kind of born with the merger of two businesses, and I don't want to complete rehash. If people really want the full story, watch one of our earlier videos. But if you could just give us a quick, 10, 20-second version of how Syncro was born.
Yes. Okay. I started a company called Repair Tech with some other folks on the team. We made software for computer repair shops and MSPs. Another company existed called Repair Shopper that made, let's just call it a PSA for all kinds of repair businesses, including computer repair and MSPs. We merged, and then we combined some of our technology, and then built on top of that, and that became Syncro. And so that was in 2017. We've been building Syncro ever since. It's been a lot of fun, and now I'm here with you.
Awesome. So I've had, and I couldn't tell you when the last time somebody asked me this question. It could have been 9 months ago, but I've had people ask me, "Hey, when you talk to Ian, can you figure out what's going on with Kabuto? Like, is that still does that still exist?"
I think you asked me this last time. I think it's the same answer. It Yeah, it still exists. I mean, we still like support it, but it's not going to get new features. I think it's surprising to me that all the Kabuto people haven't moved to Syncro.
Yeah.
I frankly don't know why. It's better in every way. And
What's the pricing like between the two?
most people save money when they switch to Syncro
Really?
because in Kabuto you pay per endpoint
That's
for
right.
antivirus and for monitoring. And those people also have a PSA somewhere because Kabuto is just a lightweight RMM.
Now hold on. You're assuming that these people that are using Kabuto are also using a PSA. I mean, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it?
If they're not, they should be.
If they're not, they should be. And if they're small, if they're like super small, like what's the cheapest anyone can get Kabuto for? Ballpark.
I guess it depends how many endpoints you have, but it's $120 a year for the like base subscription, but all that is the like call, like your thing's broken, here's a pop-up.
Yes.
It doesn't include the monitoring or the AV.
In Syncro? Like, can we do that call us because something's broken thing? Maybe that's why they haven't switched.
You can basically do that now. Yeah, there's like one little. It used to be that there was more stuff that you could do in Kabuto that you couldn't do in Syncro, but now that we have the there's all kinds of stuff now in Syncro where you can interact with the user on the desktop, so you can essentially do all of that now. Yeah, it's just like 100,000 times more powerful, and it's really not much more expensive when you factor in like if you're just using Kabuto for the like calling card thing, I get that.
Yeah.
But if you're an MSP, I don't.
If you're an MSP
yeah.
and Kabuto's your thing, I worry that you're doing something wrong. If I'm going to be completely honest, and
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so maybe you support residential and commercial. Still, don't you have a PSA and RMM tool for your commercial clients? Why wouldn't you want to merge all of that into one tool, Syncro, and then you can deploy your software to all of your commercial endpoints, all of your residential endpoints. It doesn't matter how many they are, because whether you're supporting 10 endpoints or 10,000, Syncro is the same price.
Exactly.
It's all about the number of employees you as an MSP have that need access to the software.
Right, and before we didn't have things like attended support, we only had unattended. And so there were things like that where for a home user, they might not want unattended.
Gotcha.
So, but we have all that stuff in Syncro now. So I just don't, I think there are still people using Kabuto, and that's fine. It's flattering, honestly, because we haven't built anything new for it in quite a while. Because we just thought everyone would switch to Syncro.
Well, sure, that makes sense.
And actually, the majority of people have. So, but there are still some lingering folks over there. Yeah, so I think eventually everyone will have switched. I think that's kind of the like long-term thing. And if anyone hasn't and they want to tell me why, I would love to hear it, and I'd love to accommodate that.
Okay. That's good to know. So, for those of you that are still holding out on Kabuto, Ian challenges you to switch everything over to Syncro, and if there's something that just isn't there, let the people over at Syncro know, and they'll do their best to fix it.
Yep.
Because I suspect they would like to have feature parity on the features people want. It doesn't make any sense to add a feature that Kabuto has if nobody really uses it or cares. That just sounds like wasted dev time.
Yes, and I will say that the technology we used back in the day to build Kabuto, not on the Windows side, but on the web side, it's harder for us to add stuff than on the Syncro side. So it's a lot more fun for our devs to build things for Syncro. So that's, yeah.
So talk to me about that. You mentioned the technology's different. So I'm not looking for all the details, obviously, but when you're building a PSA RMM tool, like what does that look like? Like what kind of platform are you guys building this on?
We use Ruby on Rails for pretty much everything on the web side. And obviously there's all kinds of other stuff. The thing I was mentioning is on Kabuto we use ClojureScript for the front end, which not as many devs know, and it's just a little more. It's a functional language, so it's a little harder.
Gotcha.
But we use Ruby on Rails on the back end, and then on the Syncro side we also use Ruby on Rails. We use some React.js. We use it's mostly Ruby, which is awesome. It's a really fun framework. It enables us to build things really fast. We keep it up to date. I think one of the hard things is making sure that when you start off, say in 2012, you're on Rails 3.2 or whatever it was, and then they make Rails 3.4 and then Rails 4, and then you're like a whole generation behind, and you have to spend the time to upgrade your Rails thing, and that enables you to get these new features that enable you to go faster. They fix security holes, all kinds of stuff like that. We keep that up to date, which is a lot of work, but it enables us to go fast.
That is really great. So with developing with Ruby on Rails, I'll be completely honest. Ruby on Rails, I never bothered to look into. Because everything that I do that really revolves around code, I really like to focus a lot more on like web design stuff. And I think you can do web design with Ruby on Rails, but for, the clients that just want, the brochure on the web, why? Why would you use Ruby on Rails?
Oh, you wouldn't do that. For those people, they can use WordPress, they can use Squarespace, whatever, yeah. Exactly. Ruby on Rails is like if you need some intense customization.
Right. So yeah, I do everything. I use WordPress. I just started using Cloudways as my WordPress hosting. It's amazing. If anyone wants to talk about that, I'd be happy to talk about that. I've been really focusing lately on improving loading times, improving like Google page speed insights and like that type of stuff.
Yeah, that stuff's fun.
So yeah, I found a new plugin that took my website from like a 13 to a 99 out of 100. on the Google PageSpeed Insight score. So I was really excited about that.
I'm pretty addicted to looking at that. There was a while where I was working on our SEO, and it's fun to watch it go up. Our SEO consultant guy was like, "You can stop now. It doesn't matter anymore." I was like, but I want to see it go up.
So you have an SEO consultant, and then you were also doing things yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I used to build websites for people, mostly WordPress.
Sure.
So I know I can do the stuff myself, but I've found that SEO is such a deep world that having someone that's like monitoring what Google is saying and changing is really helpful.
Yeah.
Because I can go and look at SEMrush or Moz or whatever, and I can figure it out, but frankly, they're just better at it. And if you find someone that's really good, they're not going to write the content for you or anything, or they're not going to go do the work for you, but they're going to tell you, hey, you might consider doing this. You might change your page site title to be like 3 words different, and it'll have a big impact. Like that kind of stuff, I think it's worth getting someone to do an initial audit at least. Even if I could probably figure it out myself, they can do it in an hour, and they're gonna be more detailed than me. So I know I've built 20 WordPress sites or more or something, but I don't pretend to be an SEO guru. I just know how I know how this stuff works, but I'm not following a bunch of Google blogs, if that makes sense.
It does. It absolutely does. All right, so SEO, that's a fun thing to talk about. I bet you and I could talk about some of that stuff all day. What would you say is the most important thing that you guys have done to your website to increase its SEO?
I think initially there were a bunch of technical things. So, you go in, for example, in SEMrush, and you do the site audit thing, and it gives you 500 things you should change.
Oh,
so,
sure.
There's all that stuff, and that's fine.
Well, yeah, and I'm not asking about
the biggest thing is just experience.
And
Google cares a lot about people coming to your site and finding out that they look at bounce rate.
Sure.
For example, so someone coming to your site and actually spending time there.
Okay.
Is probably the biggest thing. So just making our site clearer, making it look better, making the page speed better, just making the user experience really good. I think that if I had to summarize everything, that would probably be it.
Okay. So I like that, and I would agree with you there. And I'm glad he didn't say, oh well, we made sure we had the appropriate architecture for all of our header tags, and we had alt tags and all of our images. Like nobody.
I mean, that stuff's fine, and you should do it. But
that stuff should get done. But I think content is number one. Content is king. And I think you guys have a blog and all that kind of stuff on your site, so you guys have tons of content. And you're right. Making the user experience is important because the better blog stuff you write, for example, maybe let's see what else they wrote. What else should I read here? And now suddenly Google's going, oh, hey, people actually think that these guys know what they're talking about. Google doesn't actually know if you know what you're talking about or if you're relevant based on a search. But what Google will know is, thanks to you having Google Analytics and Tag Manager and all this other stuff that Google has on your site, they will be able to determine, okay, somebody searched for this, they went to the site, they kept looking around. Obviously, they like what they saw because they kept going. And so you kind of hit the nail on the head there. So, good. All right, let's do a tough question now. And just so you guys know, it's Wednesday. It's the 16th of September, 2021. Just kidding. It's 2020. It's 12:30. We're live. So feel free to, if you're watching on YouTube, just pop some questions in the chat, and whether they're relevant or not to what we're currently talking about, if it's relevant to Syncro and what what Ian's capable of answering at least, I'll ask it. I'll pass it through. So let's ask a tougher question. Synchro. I'm gonna dive right in. This one's gonna hurt.
Probably not, but you can try. Let's do it.
Mac OS agent.
What about it?
When will it not suck?
Yes, we're working on that. I think the beta we have of the macOS agent is not great. That's probably an understatement.
Yeah. I'm a Mac user, just so we're clear.
It basically needs an overhaul, and we haven't felt like we had the right person for that.
On staff, you mean?
Yeah. Okay. And I think we do now.
Okay.
And it's in progress.
Okay. So I remember, it's probably been a month or two at this point, I sent in an email. Someone replied, very nice guy. Your tech support team is awesome. I sent some Mac OS, I'm going to call them feature requests.
Yeah.
I thought the ability to remotely control the desktop would be nice. And I threw out there, I don't know, I feel like with Mac OS, it's a lot more, it's harder for you guys because there's really only one or two places that do Mac OS really well. So it's not like you have a bazillion people that are like, oh, well, ConnectWise does this and Kaseya does. It's like nobody cares about those on Mac OS. The ones they care about is like Adigy.
Right.
So have you guys gotten a bunch of feature requests? Have people compared it to Adigy?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that we'll ever go as deep as Adigy. Adigy's pretty awesome.
Well, it is. But perfect example, remote desktop. Adigy is able to use, it's like a VNC URL where I'm able to use my Mac OS built-in remote desktop viewer, and then I'm connected to the other Mac and everything's just happy hunky dory.
Yep.
Do you see that as being an option that we'll be able to use in the future?
I don't know about that particular way of doing it, but remote desktop in Mac is necessary.
I agree.
So, however we solve that, it needs to be there.
Okay.
I will say that the limitation we've had, most of the feature requests are things that we want to build already in the Mac agent, but the current Mac agent doesn't interface with a particular API in Mac OS that is needed to do a couple things like install all new applications, which therefore limits remote access. Like you can't integrate TeamViewer or Splashtop or something if you can't install a DMG or whatever. So there are some API limitations that we're running into with the current agent. I think that hopefully that our rework will unlock all that stuff. It's not that we didn't want to build that stuff, it's that we kind of couldn't.
Gotcha. Okay. Chat. Do you see the Mac getting chat? I assume that's one of those probably needs to install a thing.
Yeah, I think that's ideal. I haven't had discussions about that in particular. Mostly because we've been trying to figure out rebuilding and that kind of stuff, which then unlocks all that stuff. But I don't know that we've had the next conversation to talk about I would call that a really awesome feature, but maybe not V1.
Okay.
I think like remote desktop and a bunch of other things that probably come first because, well,
what kind of so what kind of, and I'm going to say MSP facing features are you hoping to release, not necessarily guaranteeing release?
I mean, high level, I think it should mostly have parity with Windows.
Okay.
It doesn't need full parity, just because Mac OS is cleaner. But you should be able to do monitoring. You should be able to do scripting. You should be able to install things. You should be able to monitor for issues and remote into a machine.
Okay.
Right? Like, it's kind of the basic, like, you should be able to troubleshoot. You should be able to fix things.
I'll give you an amen to that, man. So, all right. So I'll stop beating you up about Mac OS because it sounds like you've got a guy. It's in the works. If you had to guess, again, not guaranteeing. I understand. How long? I mean, are we thinking this year still, or?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
I'm not the one running that project.
Got it.
So, that's probably a better question for our CTO. Okay. And I will say with this kind of thing, there's a lot of variability that can happen. If you talk about a particular feature, you can get a little bit more granular and try to figure out, okay, it's between 1 and this many weeks or whatever. But when
you really do have to rebuild the whole flipping thing.
Yeah, so I mean that just introduces a whole.
So what I'm gonna then say is we could literally be 6 to 12 months out. In theory, if you hit every speed bump there is down the road, we could absolutely hit 6 to 12 months or even longer. I would like to think it won't be that long. I don't know. I would like to think it won't be that long, only because I just am really impressed by the speed in which you guys roll things out.
We have really good devs, so it could be faster, and that could be right. I don't feel like I can make a guess because I'm not up to date on that particular project.
No, that's fine. So I'm going to ask you a slightly easier question. So this one I feel like is... I feel maybe like more of a design type thing. So, one, I absolutely love that you guys have dark mode in this thing. It makes my eyes happy. So I've been doing it all, man. I'm like running my business stuff all through Syncro. The only thing I've not done is put all of my billing through Syncro. I'm waiting on the first of the year so I can just have it.
Makes sense.
I'll do it there. So the one thing that I started doing this week is implementing these website integrations.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really cool. So for those of you that like have Syncro but haven't really gotten in and tinkered with things, there's a thing that you can add to your site where it allows you to it allows an end user to create a service ticket or look up an existing ticket. Now, I haven't really played with it as far as here's what they can do, but it looks as though it's at least going to give them the ability to just kind of look things up and see where it's all at.
Yep.
I wish I could change the way it looks. Like, for example, it looked really janky when I used the code version, so I had to use the non-customizable, everything's in an iframe version. So I guess I would love if I like that you give me it looks like it's editable because it's all code. We've got the HTML code to just pop this stuff on the site. I just wish it was a little more, I don't know, customizable within Syncro. Like, change some colors, change the look and feel, and then copy paste the code. That way we don't have to go through and spend an hour tinkering. Especially for the people, because there's a lot of MSPs that don't do web design, so they look at all this code and they're like, "What on earth am I looking at here?"
Right. So, I think that there are two opportunities. So yeah, to clarify what you're saying, there's like a customizable one where, if you wanted to, you could write custom CSS to override the classes and the IDs and whatnot for that, and you could make it look however you wanted. Obviously, you would need some background with CSS, which I personally feel is torture. But our devs are very good at it and would disagree with me. So I think there's that version where you can customize it, and it does need, some dev background. But and then there's like the standard one, which is more of like an iframe type thing. I agree that we could make it easier for you to customize. I think that a lot of people use the customer portal instead of the embedded widgets. They have a slightly different use case. Obviously, you can't have a lot of the website widget stuff. People use that for like a kiosk in their store, brick and mortar store. Like say they have an iPad and they might have someone check in right there, that kind of thing. If someone's already a customer, the customer portal is awesome. It looks a little bit better, and you can change some of the colors and things like that. It's not tremendously customizable, but I would like to add some more stuff there. We did just enable you to change the color.
Oh, okay. All right. On the flip side, I love the appointment calendar thing, or the appointment booking module, I should say. Again, I just started implementing this stuff, so I haven't had anyone use it. I haven't even had a chance to test it all myself.
Yeah.
But that one, super easy to just pop it in.
Yep.
Very
yeah,
sharp.
It's great.
So I really like, and some of this stuff is from the repair shopper days, and that's fine. Do you see yourselves doing any other type of like website integration stuff ever in the future at this time?
Yeah, I could see chat expanding. I could see, let's see, I could see all those website integrations becoming more customizable.
Okay.
I don't know that those are at the top of the list, but I could see them in the future. There are other things people want more, and we'll ship those things first because it's all prioritized based on how many people ask for it and whatnot, as we talked about before. But yeah, I think we're super open to that stuff, and if lots of people ask for it, then that's great. We like building things.
All right. So that's really cool. I do have a question here from somebody. His name's Aaron, and he asked, it's his first time he's hearing about Syncro. Wow. Mm-hmm. How does Syncro compare with Datto or other RMM tools?
Do you want to answer that, or should I answer that?
I'll answer it so that way you don't have to figure out how to be politically correct about this, Ian. So, Aaron, I would say that it's comparable to Datto and ConnectWise, Kaseya. The big thing is you're talking just about RMM tools, but there's also Autotask and Kaseya BMS and ConnectWise Manage. These are all PSA tools, and Syncro does both. I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you Syncro is the best. It has more features than any of the others, but I will say that there are some things that I was truly surprised. I'm like, oh, wow, this actually is able to do this. For example, I was able to make some scripts that I was playing around. I made a silly script. If the print spooler is screwed up, restart the print spooler. Do stop spooler, net start spooler, and then create a ticket, add a time entry for 10 minutes, add a note, close the ticket. I was able to do all of that within a script, and it all just works. Like I tested it, it worked great. So the fact that you can create all of this like remediation stuff, and I'm not saying that no other RMM has this. I mean, I was impressed because this is something that LabTech or ConnectWise Automate has had for a while, especially with their integration with ConnectWise PSA Manage. So the fact that Syncro has this, I was just delighted. It's just great that it has it. I feel like because it's all like truly web-based, it's just fast. I don't have to download an application to connect to a machine like I did with Datto RMM, although I think that's changed now. I didn't have to. I didn't have to install an application to use the PSA like I used to have to with ConnectWise. It all just works. So I think the best way to answer your question is it's comparable. And I know that they've got you've got a trial on the website, right, Ian?
Yeah, I think the other big difference is we take a little more of maybe like a consumer approach to like our business practices. So you go to our website, there's just a free trial. You don't have to talk to anybody. Just go sign up for the thing. It's full featured for 30 days. If you want to talk to a salesperson, great. We don't have a super aggressive sales team. We're not going to call you every day. We're just there to help. There's no contract, no negotiations. The pricing's transparent, super fair. All that stuff that you'd kind of like expect from maybe like a Netflix or something.
Right.
We do that, and I think it just makes the user experience really easy. And,
it really does. I like
yeah.
that we don't have to haggle. Like, the price is the price. And I'll just come out and say, it's like, ballpark, if you're paying monthly, $120-ish a month, and you get the PSA, the RMM, the remote access. The only thing that you really don't get with that price is Domo. Is that right? Or no, that one's 109, I think, is all we need to spend.
It depends if you're paying monthly or yearly, but let's say you're paying
Monthly.
monthly. It's 109 a month, and you get everything except for Domo, and there's a Dropbox integration you don't get. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
So,
almost everyone is on the $109 a month plan.
And just to throw this out there, for $109 a month, that's per employee at your MSP that's going to access Syncro. So if it's just you and you're a one-man shop and you're managing 700 endpoints, you're spending $109 a month, and that's it. And you get a discount if you pay them yearly, all up front. Otherwise, you pay them month to month. If you decide you want to take your ball and go home, you just get a new PSA and RMM tool and literally take your ball and go home. So, Tony here wants to beat you guys up about the Mac OS thing. Tony, I did beat him up already, so I'm not going to rehash too much of this. But he did say, once it's got some basic functionality and it's outside of beta, where it's reliably showing online, offline, and then we can run scripts, then they think it'll be good enough to support their Mac OS users at that point. And I will say that I've had trouble with remote control apps, even Screen Connect. I'm like hit or miss with Mac OS. Which is why I said, man, I wish you would just use that built-in one. Because it's like a VNC that's just built into Mac OS. I would love if you just had that, so that way my Mac could connect to a customer Mac. It would make me very happy. All right. Let's talk about updating your Syncro PSA RMM tool. So, for those of you that are not using Syncro watching this, I feel like I can't keep up with your updates. And that's both a good and a bad thing, Ian. You guys release so many features. Like, if I go and I look here, like September 8th, September 15th, like, you guys ship features almost weekly. Sometimes twice weekly.
Definitely weekly, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's fast.
It is. So, with that said, like, and sometimes these are big features. Like, one of the features they shipped in the last few months was like, hey, good news, guys, you can chat with your customers now. Like, that's new, right? Because I swear, like, okay, I'm glad I'm not crazy. So, looking at the new features category of the Syncro blog, password type variables have been added to the scripting system as of the 9th. You can now trial Bitdefender within Syncro as of the 3rd. As of the 2nd, default permissions for non-portal users. I mean, they just keep adding things, and it's really, like I said, it's really great. But at the same time, like, some of these things are things like, oh man, I should probably get to that, and
Yep.
then the list just keeps getting longer and longer. So
Yep.
what what do you guys tell? First of all, you don't ever have customers complain that you release too many features, do they?
We used to, actually, like a while ago. We used to have complaints that we released stuff and people didn't know.
Ah,
And it was, we would literally build a thing and we would forget to market it.
well, and
So
that's
we would forget. And then they would discover it and they're like, when did you release this? And so we've gotten better at least telling people we built a thing. But we're a product company. I mean, we're not a sales driven company. So it's been a good learning experience. I think there's a lot more we can do on the like content side of things when we release a new feature. We have gotten a lot better. You'll notice if you click any of those, there's usually a video. If it's anything of like a slightly larger, we'll have a video associated with it. That's new as of say the last 6 to 8 months ish or something. So we're trying to do more stuff like that where there's some people that don't read the blog post that a video's better for them. We can describe more things in a video about use cases and why this is good. So I think we can expand a lot more on that and make it more digestible for people. The other thing we do every once in a while is a What's New in Syncro webinar. I think we can do them more often. We do them about every month and a half or 2 months, and we go over every single thing we released, and then we answer questions. People love those, and we have hundreds of people attend those, but I want to make that kind of stuff a little more regular or something, because it is a lot of stuff, and we're releasing that because people are asking for it and they want it, so people they're not unhappy. But yeah, I think we could help people implement a little bit more.
okay.
With more content, for example, or how-to guides, things like that.
Well, very good. So yeah, I've, as a new Syncro user, I think I can get away with saying new. I've been using it under 60 days. Wow. Like, I still don't even have like core Syncro done yet, and you guys keep giving me more stuff to do. It's truly amazing. So kudos to you guys for that. Now, I want to kind of take this and I want to talk philosophy with you. And I love that you kind of took me there already. You said you are a product company. You're a software company. And so that means that your focus is developing software. One of the things that I have found, and this is my opinion, is that as private equity or PE money gets into the MSP channel, companies stop being software companies and start becoming literally just mergers and acquisitions companies, or companies that are just worried about growth. They're worried about sales, not about their product. With that said, we don't need to name names, but I think it's safe to say that there are some companies that are getting a bad rap right now because they have let so many people go, or whatever, and either the customer support has drastically reduced, the number of updates getting shipped have drastically reduced, prices have gone up, or a combination of all three. And I think that the MSPs in the channel are really starting to get sick of this. And I think that might be a reason that you're starting to get more and more people come to you guys, because I am seeing a mass exodus out of some of these other tools because people have just had enough. So, first and foremost, how much do we need to beg to make sure you stay a private company and that you don't accept private equity money? Do you have any PE money right now?
Am I muted?
No.
Okay, good. No, I mean, we've been bootstrapped for a long time. We grew organically. We've been profitable for quite a while now and just growing organically. We had some investors early on, and I think some of those folks might on the side do like private equity stuff, but it doesn't really have much to do with us. I think this comes down to like a philosophy thing, like you said. I think that. Okay, so I'll answer this from like maybe an investor perspective, or no, sorry, an entrepreneur perspective when you want investment, and then maybe just like a product company kind of perspective. Troy, our CTO, who I think deserves a lot of credit for driving this, said yesterday, he's like, we were actually talking about like the philosophy behind what we're building and all this stuff, and he was talking about something that resonated with me, which is like, we put people first and we put profit second, and that means our employees, that also means our customers. We putting that first, and we just believe that will lead to profit at some point. And that has been true for us for our entire life cycle. If we ship the things people want, if we take care of our employees, if we take care of our users, and we make sure that they're leading like good lives and that they have the things that they need to be successful, they'll tell other people about us, and we'll get more customers and whatever. We will release more, say, antiviruses, and they'll buy those things from us. It doesn't, I think that philosophy, it makes us happy. We enjoy working in a company that puts people first, and our team enjoys that. And then I think people can tell when they talk to our salespeople that they're like happy, right? Like there's stuff like that. So I think from a philosophical perspective, I think there's that perspective. I think the other thing is, when you're an entrepreneur and you say, hey, I want to grow faster and I want to grow ahead of revenue, right? I want to invest in the business because I'm very confident that if we invest in the business and we hire all these people, say, ahead of time, and then I'm confident we'll grow to meet that revenue or whatever. I think that one mistake that a lot of people make is they go and they just like get whatever investment money they can. And there are a lot of bad investors out there that only care about money. And I think that
to be
there
fair,
are a lot that are different than that. But
to be fair, if I were an investor, I would be worried about money, because that's kind of my thing, right? I mean, as an investor, your only care really is, did my investment make me money or not? Investors typically aren't going... I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm saying they're not going to care about the product or the culture or anything other than, did my investment make me money?
Well, I think that is true in our industry in a lot of ways. I think that for us, say when we were starting Repair Tech, we got some pretty early investment a long time ago. And those people, actually, it was like, for them, it was mostly philanthropic, because we were coming out of the like Cal Poly entrepreneurial community where we went to school, and they had gone to Cal Poly, and they were just trying to help that kind of like startup community exist and thrive. And they basically invested in us, and they didn't really think they were going to get their money back, so it wasn't financially motivated. And that was more like a mentorship kind of relationship, where they're super experienced entrepreneurs. They've done all kinds of things, and when I didn't know what to do, or we were making a big decision about a thing, and I just needed a little bit of perspective, I could call them and talk to them about it, and they, as past entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs, could give me a little bit of insight. And I think that kind of thing is really, really helpful. There's like the concept of like dumb money and smart money or something. It's like someone, a bank just gives you money. They don't give you anything else. And there are people out there, I think in our case, we were very lucky early on to have some folks that like weren't just about that. They were also about mentoring and giving advice. And so I'm super appreciative of them. I don't know that we'd be here if I didn't have someone to bounce things off of at that point. And I will say that I totally understand the perspective of the MSP in this space, and having seen some of the things out there that you mentioned, and that being not good for the MSP's experience. So I what you said resonates with me.
And I think it's not only is it not good for the MSPs, but I think ultimately it's not good for the channel, because as more and more PE money gets in this realm here, especially, you see it's like the same 2 or 3 firms, right? So as they start to eat up more and more MSP channel vendors, MSPs are going to start to recognize, okay, well, if XYZ company owns all of this and they have proven track record of making each one of these products suck to the point where I stop using it, they just bought this, so now I just know I have 3 months to find a replacement.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're not investing in product, that's just kind of inevitable, right? Like at some point, your technology is going to be out of date. I mentioned like Rails, starting at Rails 2 and going up to Rails 6 or whatever. If you're not doing that, your technology is eventually not going to be any good.
Sure.
So I think that as a company, we need to always be investing in the product and always be investing in innovation and keeping up with the modern technology practices, and that's really important. So yeah, I don't see that ever stopping.
Okay. So one of the things that I've been hearing and seeing a lot lately is more and more, I think like local, regional, state type governments are starting to look into, should IT consulting, MSPs, whatever we want to call ourselves, should there be some type of regulation? Because I think people are starting to realize, like, crap, these people have the keys to the kingdom, and shit keeps hitting the fan. It's not even proverbial shitty, and it's literal shit now at this point. It's everywhere. So what do you see? Because I know, like, I'm in Ohio, you're in California. I know we have holy crap, you're in California, dude. Is it on fire where you're at? Are you okay?
I'm in Sacramento. Fires are very air quality's been today's the first day the air quality's not like dangerous. It's pretty intense. For the last month, been waking up, looking outside, and it's been like raining ash.
It's gonna be depressing.
The sky's like red. It's like you're in, or like the apocalypse, and we can't go outside because coronavirus. Like there's all this, it used to be, COVID. It's like at least I can like go on a walk. I can go outside and go to the park or something and like sit there, with my wife or whatever. But with the smoke, it's pretty much all you can do is stay inside. And
have you considered a change of scenery?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan just moved to Austin.
Yeah, I've never been to Austin, but I hear it's awesome. I hear the music scene's really great.
Yeah.
My wife and I, for our anniversary, we might drive to Colorado where her brother lives and hang out in a Airbnb for a couple of weeks or something, just to get a change of pace. So yeah, I would love to go on vacation to some other indoor area.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, when you're not even able to leave the house. Like, it's not even quarantine at this point for you. It's just freaking apocalypse outside and sadness.
Yeah. It's tough, and a lot of people are really affected by the fires. We know quite a few people, so it's hard. I like to play basketball, and that's been a challenge because I can't go outside. So it's been hard to feel healthy or whatever. But anyway, it's all good. We're getting through it, trying to stay positive, and work's a good escape, and I enjoy work, so doing that.
Brandon just asked, "What's this word vacation y'all keep using?"
Yeah, it's funny. It hasn't felt like we can take them or something. We've because there's nothing to do. It's like, what am I gonna? I'm gonna take a vacation in my house. So, we've noticed, for example, some of our employees like not taking vacation at all, which everyone's dealing with lots of stuff right now, just life-wise. 2020 is a pretty intense year. So, we started doing some like summer Friday kind of things where every couple of Fridays we'll give people on the team like, this isn't vacation, just don't come to work. Just do whatever you want to do, but you don't have to take vacation, because we know everyone's dealing with lots of stuff and they don't want to take vacation because they can't
it's almost
actually
a waste.
go somewhere.
Yeah, it's almost a waste of a vacation day.
Right.
So yeah, I could see them. I could see them wanting to not like waste the vacation day. So that's really awesome of you to just say just don't. But nobody comes to work. Like, you don't have to be in Sacramento.
No, I could be anywhere. We're completely remote and always have been. So
Medina, Ohio's nice this time of year.
I don't know. I've only been there once.
I really, a lot of people give me a hard time for living in Ohio, and I don't know why. Like, we don't have hurricanes. We don't have fires. We have few tornadoes. We get snow. But we don't get like Montana and Nebraska snow. Like, we get some snow.
Yeah.
Like, and we're right next to Lake Erie. We're next to all the Great Lakes, so we don't have to worry about like droughts.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm not really educated enough on this stuff to have a truly formed opinion, but I feel like, with all the people over in Arizona, New Mexico, California, Nevada, like that whole area, and it's just dry and sadness and burning half the year and earthquakes.
Yeah,
it's
a tough new reality.
We don't get earthquakes either. Like, there's I think there was one a year ago. Someone told me that it happened. I didn't know, because it was like a -3 on the Richter scale. But yeah, I mean, you really, I mean, you should go look at literally anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I love California. I've lived here my whole life, but I've also driven across the country, and I've been to lots of places for, say, conferences, for example. The only time I've ever been in Ohio was for a conference, and I didn't really get a good perspective on it because I was pretty much in the hotel for 3 days.
Yeah, I bet I know which one. We were in Columbus.
That sounds...
Yeah. At a hotel for a 5-letter conference.
Yes, and it was the hotel was exactly the same as another hotel I'd been in a different state.
They're all the same hotel.
I didn't get any perspective. I do have a couple friends that are from Cleveland, so I've talked to them a little bit about that. But
next time you end up in Columbus, let me know. I will drive 2 hours down to Columbus just to take you out. There is this, I don't even know what type of food it is, but there's this place in Columbus. My buddy John Dyes took me, and my wife, because she was there with me as well. We were at one of these conferences a few years ago, and they had like Italian sausages and pot roast and meatloaf and all this. It was buffet style. Oh, it was magical, Ian. And it was like good old home cooked, just delicious food. My mouth is watering. It's 1:13. I'm so hungry.
That's what I like to do when I go to any city. Is I have a system in Google Maps where I find the food that I want. So that's sounds like my kind of thing.
So I think the next time I go to a big city, I'm gonna look for some Indian food, because there's one good Indian food place here, and it's 40 minutes away, and I never know when they're open, because like they'll like close after lunch and then they'll open back up a few hours later. Like, is that a thing out by you? Like, I feel like a lot of the ethnic restaurants, like sushi, Chinese, Indian, like all of those. I'm sure there's others, but I mean, those are the ones that I get excited about. I'm like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. I just finally got done working. I can finally eat lunch, and it's closed.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been lucky enough to do a lot of traveling, and I feel like America's the only place where restaurants are just open all the time. Like,
really?
If you go to Spain, they're open like early in the morning till like 10 o'clock, and then they're closed till like 2:30.
Oh, so they're not even open for lunch.
Well,
screw you, go home and eat.
Well, so in Spain, they wake up late and they go to sleep late. So they eat a huge lunch. That's their version of our dinner. And so, but they have it late. And like even banks are like not open at like 11 o'clock in the morning. It's totally different. And if you go to
that's
a lot of other cultures, like there's a lot of Japanese places, for example, that I've been to that they close in between lunch and dinner.
Now, do you mean in Japan or here in the States?
Here in the States, but in Thailand, I've been to Thailand. I'm half Thai, so in Thailand they do that a lot too. Yeah, so it's interesting. I feel like in the United States, everything's open all the time. It's a little different in a lot of other places.
So what's Thailand? I get there's a few. I think Thailand and Philippines are really close to each other, right?
Yeah. I mean Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sorry. I'm a dumb, uneducated white guy. Okay, so
it's all good.
All right. So Thailand, that's the one that's more like a tech hub in Southeast Asia besides China and Japan, right? Like Thailand's the one that is more westernized, and they've got a lot of English speaking people. Like that's where a lot of companies might outsource to, right?
There's a little bit of that. I would say that like in terms of Southeast Asia, the biggest tech hubs are like China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore. Taiwan, like there's a lot of tech stuff in those countries. Thailand has some. There's a lot of manufacturing in Thailand. A lot of cars are made in Thailand. There are almost, I think 70. This may not be true, but if you recall, maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe it was even more now. There was a huge shortage of hard drives because of a flood. And it's because like 70% of the hard drives, at least at that time, I don't know what the number is now, are made in Thailand. So Western Digital, Seagate, they have huge factories in Thailand. So there is some stuff there, but I think it's a lot of like manufacturing. Thailand does have a lot of English speaking because it's a huge tourist destination. So lots of Thai people speak English. It's a very welcoming country,
really cool.
And yeah, they're really used to English speaking from all over the world. So,
now again, dumb, uneducated white guy. I'm told that it's not uncommon in Thailand for you to have, I don't know what the appropriate term is, like a house helper.
I would say that yeah, it's funny. There are a lot of things in Thailand if you have money that are a lot more like normal. Um,
And I feel like their version of if you have money is much different from our version of if you have money.
it's
Because
well,
I feel like
I
you
would
or I
say
could
that
move there and live like kings.
yes. I mean, our conversion rate is very good. It's like 30 baht to a dollar. And for
And
context, like a bowl of noodles is probably 30 baht. So, like, if you pay $10 for a bowl of noodles here or whatever it might be, you'd pay $1 there.
okay,
So the conversion is quite good, especially for food. And so I eat a lot when I'm there. And I would say that there are things you can do. There, the structure is a little less formal there, in the sense that money can here. It's like, oh, if I'm at a restaurant and I want a bottle of wine that they don't have at the restaurant, there's not really much you can do about that. But in Thailand, it wouldn't be weird for you to like give some money to the waiter and be like, "Hey, can you go get me this bottle of wine from 7-Eleven?" And they would just go get it for you. So it's kind of just like a different. There are not as many like rules or something about like what you can do. So
but they do have more strict laws in some aspect, right?
yes and no. Um, Thailand is a pretty relaxed culture. Like in terms of Asia, I don't know that this is the right analogy because it maybe gives you the wrong idea. But Thailand's maybe the hippie culture of Asia. It's very chill. It's
Compared
not.
to the rest of Asia, it's very chill.
Yes,
Compared to
it's very
America,
chill. Compared to America, there are some things that are much more relaxed and some things that are less. So drug laws, for example, in Thailand are very strict. Um, However, things like where can I build a house on my property? Like in Thailand, that's much easier to get done than here.
so
So there
so in
are
Thailand, if
things
I'm
that,
like I want to build a deck or I want to upgrade my house, they're like I don't care as long as it's your property.
well, like my mom does some real estate stuff there, and so I hear about she still needs to go get a building permit from the like city
Okay.
office or whatever it might be, but like she can get that done pretty quickly. It's not as like maybe bureaucratic or something. There's not as many. We have a gigantic government in the United States that has many different things, and it's because we have a really big country. So, Thailand's maybe the size of California-ish.
Oh,
So,
I've
like,
never actually thought about like if I wanted to compare size of something, you know.
right. So if you imagine like your state being the whole country, it's like, well, you could probably get things done a lot faster because there's just like there's less stuff for the government to deal with, so they can do things faster. Thailand, there's a lot of really cool things. We invent a lot of the technology here. For example, 4G, 5G, we go through every iteration. There, they're just like, that seems cool. Let's just jump to that. And they just have it. Like, they have way better internet than we do in
Huh.
terms of, like, you go and you pay for. So Xfinity the Comcast kind of has this thing where, like, any of the, like, hotspots or whatever, you can get Wi-Fi. They have that, but it's, like, all of Bangkok. And there are 7, 8 different companies. You can go do TOT or there's, like, other ones. And you just have Wi-Fi, like, the whole city. It's not like a hotspot. It's, like, everywhere.
Well, that
So
sounds
people
like
don't even, like.
what some of the municipalities around here are starting to do, and I'll say, I don't like that, you know, cable companies, phone companies get to hold a monopoly over a town or area or whatever. So what I've started to see is that internet companies are starting to set up those just Wi-Fi across the whole city. You know, they'll pipe in internet to someone's house. hey, we'll give you a discount or we'll give it to you for free if you let us put a hotspot up on the roof or whatever, and transmit to a whole region. Like it's genius.
I think that's great.
I hear there's a lot of overhead and very little profit in that, but for the ones that are able to figure out how to make it work well, and make some money at it, I feel like that would be the smartest thing to do. The problem is, you're talking about, you said Bangkok. I mean, that's actually I'm going to call it a real city. Then there's cities like...
Oh, it's huge.
Then there's cities like Cuyahoga Falls. They were looking at getting this, but they have like 30,000 is their population. Bangkok's how many million, like...
Yeah, I mean, it's like New York City combined with LA.
Oh, Bangkok's that big?
Well, it's a big, sprawling city like LA is, with
my
crazy traffic problems. Oh. I don't know what the actual population is off the top of my head, but then it's like, many parts of it are built up, like big buildings like New York City kind of thing. So it's a gigantic metropolis of a city. Yeah, there are certain technology things that they have that are just better. And they're a smaller country. They're not like it's a little bit different in terms of like how their political system is set up, so they can kind of get things done a little bit faster, for better or worse. And so technology-wise, there are some things that are nice there.
So I'd like to ask you 2 questions, and if you don't want to answer them or just don't feel like whatever, that's fine. So I see Thailand borders Myanmar, Burma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember vaguely when I was younger, I remember seeing, like Free Burma and like concerts about this. Like, anything we should know as Americans about Burma, Myanmar?
I can't say that I know. I've been there once or maybe twice, but it was when I was really young, and I think I was only there for a day. So I really don't know. I know that a lot of those, like I've been to Cambodia as well, and Cambodia had some pretty serious stuff with the Khmer Rouge, and there's a lot of those countries neighboring Thailand have had a rough time. And I don't pretend to be a historian on that, but I think a lot of it has to do with colonization. They were each colonized by, my rough interpretation of the history is that there used to be Siam, which was like the greater region there, and it was one kingdom, and it included many of what are now separate countries. And colonists came, I think the Dutch, the French, and I want to say the English, and they basically, like the king of Siam, gave them some of the area to leave Thailand alone. And so Thailand is the only country in Southeast Asia that hasn't been colonized by like Westerners. And so a lot of those other countries, like a lot of their resources are a lot less, or their culture hasn't, they've had a hard time, or they had some, they just had less stability. And so Thailand has like a healthier economy than most of them. And I think Myanmar is probably a similar situation, but I'm not going to pretend to know the history there. So
that's fair.
I'm not sure.
That's fair. Okay, so then, so we must be really behind or something, because Tony is finally now replying to the tech hub question. He said Taiwan's the tech hub and Singapore too, and Tony, again, I'm sorry, dumb, uneducated white guy. I can tell Tony is Asian. Last name is Tsao. If I were to try and pronounce it, I would probably butcher it. Although, to be fair, so I think this is a funny story because I like making fun of myself. So when I was younger, 19 or so, 20, I was working for this place, CompSource, and it was like, it still exists, but it's like a CDW,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody's heard of it. So,
Sure.
So I worked there, and I remember I had to call somebody. I was the account manager. I wasn't doing tech for them. I took a break from tech. I thought, yeah, I could make a bunch of money doing sales. Didn't do bad. Hated it though. So I called the University of New Mexico, I want to say, and I had to speak with Charles. Hi, can I please speak with Charles Nguyen? Why would you spell it like that if that's not how it's pronounced? I'm sorry, guys, but it just doesn't make sense. So my boss comes over and she's like, "What did you just say?" I said, "I want to speak with Charles Nguyen." And she's like, "You know that's pronounced when, right?" I'm like, "Since when?" But no, like I just don't understand. Like I just sometimes I just make a complete ass out of myself.
That's okay. You know, we all make. Well, I think it's hard to know everything. You can't. So make mistakes as long as you have good intentions. I think it's okay to make mistakes.
Well, that's fair. I appreciate that. Sorry, I've got somebody that keeps texting me. I just finally responded back with shh. So Tony said you can hire a maid for maybe $800 a month in Thailand or Southeast Asia, he's saying. Wow.
$800.
$800 a month. And man,
It seems like more than. I think for less you could do it.
Well,
I think it depends if they're a live-in maid or not.
Oh my goodness, a live-in maid for $800.
I mean, yeah, people don't make as much money there. So.
No, it just blows like that. That doesn't make me feel bad for anyone because I suspect that even though you're only making $800, like if it only costs $1 to buy a bowl of noodles, then does it really matter? You know what I mean? Like I feel like the amount of dollars, or I'm sorry, what's the currency over there? Baht?
It's baht, yeah.
Baht. So I think the amount is irrelevant as long as you have enough to live happily and comfortably.
Yeah, it doesn't take much there. And for me, my number one thing is food. So food's cheap there. I get to eat a lot of it. It wouldn't be expensive.
All right, so I heard Tony said he wants to take me to a trip to Asia once this pandemic crisis ends. Hey, I'm all for it, man. Let's do it.
They have hardly any COVID cases in Thailand anymore. So,
they really don't do it. Now, if I went there,
like 2 cases or something right now.
Oh my goodness. So here's my second question now, the one that you might not be able to answer. All right. 9-dash line. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Look at a globe or a map or whatever and look in the South China Sea. You will probably see a line made out of 9 dashes that go around the majority of the South China Sea. So it hooks around Vietnam. They claim a bunch of islands back down toward Malaysia, back up, just up next to the Philippines and around Taiwan. So basically what that 9-dash line is saying is China has claimed all of that stuff and Taiwan is within that, obviously.
Got it.
Does China concern you when you think about your friends and family that live so close to them in Thailand and maybe other Asian countries?
Not particularly. I mean, Thailand doesn't have the same kind of relationship with China that a Taiwan or a Hong Kong does. China could not really make a claim that they own Thailand. Like, that wouldn't be a thing. But, I understand.
I'm not saying I'm worried that they're going to claim they own you. I just feel like Man, with everything going on in 2020, I at this point am paranoid that
Mm.
something bad's going to go down somewhere.
Yeah, I
We've
mean,
already got it happening here, but I mean more on a global scale.
yeah, Thailand has an interesting relationship with China in that like a lot of Chinese tourists go to Thailand. A lot. So I think in my experience, there was a little bit of resentment there because Thai people felt like there was a lot, like COVID in Thailand was the result of a lot of Chinese tourists coming. Um, so I think my experience, and I was there in February.
And
Was
COVID
that
was already like a thing there, right?
there were I think there were 12 cases or 14 cases when I was there. Actually, there were more that was when Seattle, like while I was in Thailand, was when Seattle, like, had a bunch of cases.
Oh, see, I didn't realize Seattle had it that early because I know it was like March 15th or 13th or something like that. It was just before St. Patrick's Day. They shut everything down here in Ohio.
Yeah.
And like I didn't realize how real COVID-19 was until they shut down Ohio. Like the whole freaking state, man. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, so
it
this is a
happened
thing."
early in Seattle, and it was real for people in Seattle. Pretty like earlier than the rest of the country, which is pretty. Yeah, and then it hit New York City, and so I was in Thailand when that was happening, and
Wow.
it's interesting because the culture is so different there. Like they've had to deal with multiple pandemic, like they had to deal with SARS and I don't remember if it was swine flu or avian flu, and so the
They're used
mask
to
thing
this.
for them is like they don't care. They're just gonna do it. Like it's not even like their immediate reaction was we're all wearing masks now. So
So
they
this
didn't like really care as much, and they don't have the way the government's set up and everything. Like you get sprayed down before you go into a mall with like
sprayed.
disinfectant.
Okay.
Like you walk through a mist of disinfectant.
So you're not stopping
basically, like-
wet.
No, you're not wet, but it's like mist. They like you get
That's pretty cool.
there's checkpoints where they do thermometer stuff to go into even the most remote village.
Oh wow.
Like the way they have testing, they had it like that. So there was all this stuff where they're a small country. They could respond very quickly, and they have been able to control it really well. And it's also a slightly different like culture. It's a lot more like I'm forgetting the word. It's like collectivist, or I don't remember if is it community oriented culture where people are very like they don't want to be the one to give it to other people. So it's very like people took it very seriously.
I like that. I like, and I wish that we were more like that here. I think in sometimes we start to act that way, but so often lately everything is just so polarizing. You know, everything we see on the news, everything that a politician says, everything you read on Facebook. I think I caught like the first 5 minutes of The Social Dilemma, and I was already starting to get heart palpitations because, like, in the first 5 minutes, it's like, oh, did you know that Facebook on purpose shows you only things in your news feed that'll make you triggered? I'm like, are you freaking serious? Like, I didn't realize it's a thing. Like, why is Facebook trying to trigger me? So now it makes me think like, all right, do I want to be on Facebook anymore? And unfortunately, the answer has to be yes, because I use it for business.
That's exactly where I'm at. I wouldn't use it if I didn't have to for work. Like I have a personal Facebook account, but I almost never log in, and if I do, it's because someone posted in the users group. So I'm really excited for us to have forums once we can switch stuff over to we're moving from Zendesk to Freshdesk.
Oh, nice.
And for our whole ticketing for our support team, and then also a knowledge base, and there's a lot of work to transfer everything over. And then, we can have some community forums and stuff. And then I can hopefully step away from Facebook a little bit.
Very cool. Hey, so somebody left a comment regarding Syncro. Syncro, great product, great people, and our integration with them passes some of the best, cleanest data over to Lifecycle Insights. These guys are real disruptors.
I talked to them last week. Last week, this week, I don't know. They all blend together now, but
yeah,
I talked to them recently.
That's really cool. And I know I had a great conversation with Mission Control, and
yeah, they're in knock, right?
They are. They do knock help
Yeah.
desk services, and they're doing ConnectWise and Datto. And I said, guys, you need to know Syncro. You need to be there. So I was able to make that connection with him and Crystal. I think she probably got him in touch with you.
Yep.
And I'm excited. I think that a serious integration with a knock help desk provider would only make Syncro look more appealing to MSPs around the country that are like, man, I just wish I could XYZ.
Totally. I think we don't have an integration right now, and lots of knocks have actually reached out. It's funny, we're getting a little bit more recognition or something at this point. We have a lot of traction, so we have quite a few people reach out to us about integrations and being in the App Center and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's fun.
So do you have anything being added to that App Center, like maybe in the next few months? You can tell me. I won't tell anyone.
Probably a lot of things. We've in the past, so just for perspective on how we think about the App Center, when something goes in the App Center, we feel like we're endorsing it. So we don't want to put things in there that are going to lead to a bad user experience.
So just because something integrates with Syncro does not mean it belongs in the App Center.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
We don't want to push people to something that where they have shady business practices, or where their product doesn't provide a lot of value, but it's expensive or something. So we vet everything that goes in there. As we've grown, we have now many. I think there's probably 16 or 18 people that want to be in there, and we haven't. It's been it's been a pretty ad hoc process until now, and so now I'm working on a process that will have actual criteria where we're gonna go and we're gonna demo their product and do a little bit of research. We're gonna interview some of their users. We're gonna talk to their team and make sure they're gonna be around for a while, and that kind of thing, and then we can put them in there if they pass all those tests.
Can I make a recommendation just as a current user? It would be great if maybe there were two lists. There's the Syncro App Center, and you got really blurry, by the way. There's the Syncro App Center where, here's the things that we recommend. We vouch for these, but here's a list of everything that says it integrates with us. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that I have a feeling that the stuff that will pass our test will be most of the stuff. And it's mostly just that we haven't had a process recently to vet how many things are now making integrations, because it used to be that we would make every integration.
Right,
so,
yeah.
And so we put it in the App Center because we made it. And now other people are making integrations. So, for example, Lifecycle Insights. And they're like, how do we get in the App Center? And so I tell, we talk about it. And I think it'll be good. I do worry about people that make an integration with us, but maybe the integration's not good.
Or maybe they
And
don't
so,
keep it up to date. You know, you update your API and they never update their integration.
right, and I don't really. In most cases, there's an alternative where there is a good integration, and I'd rather point people in that direction. So I think it's a balance of let's have lots of stuff in there, and let's have those things all be good. I think that's kind of, yeah, and then you wouldn't have seen the end result of that yet because I kind of just put together this partner program. So you'll see lots of new stuff in the next 3 months, hopefully.
That's really cool. Any that you're just itching to tell me? Any names?
I don't know that any like stand out. I mean, I think there's a lot of smaller companies, and frankly, like I don't want to tell you a thing and then we go and we vet the company and we're like, this isn't good enough, and then it doesn't go in there.
Are there any companies that have made integrations for MSPs that you haven't vetted that the product itself sounds interesting?
Yeah, Lifecycle Insights, you just brought it up. It's interesting. Tier 2 tickets is interesting. They have like the physical help desk buttons.
Yeah, those help desk
yeah,
buttons are neat, man.
That one's interesting. There's all kinds of stuff, and I have a list somewhere, and
that's fine.
I haven't had enough coffee. So
do you need a coffee break?
No, I don't need a. No, I'm good. but after this, I'll have a coffee.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of stuff. I'm pretty excited about a lot of the new stuff. We are building some fun integrations that are secret, but yeah. So that's yes.
Any ideas on when we'll see some of these fun secrets?
Before the end of the year, for sure.
All right. I can wait if it's just a few more months. I think I can hold it. All right. Ian, I really want to thank you, man. This has been fun for me. I love learning about other cultures and stuff. So being able to talk about Thailand was fun.
Yeah.
I gotta say, more and more every day, I love playing in Syncro. There is one question that somebody asked, and I'll agree with this question. Tony asked the question, can we reduce the screen refreshes and ticketing? For example, upload a file, oops, wait, refresh, pop-outs, change status, all of these things. And then I think the most frustrating thing is it doesn't even say, are you sure? Because I typed in 17 paragraphs into the ticket notes, and then I add an attachment, and then it just lost my 17.
Yeah, so like asynchronous stuff. Yes, we can do that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible from a technology perspective. So I would love to know what those things are. If you want to send, I'm sure I could think of them, but if you're in it, you could probably name them really quickly. If you want to send me an email, my email is ian@syncromsp.com. I'm happy to take like a bullet point list, share that with the dev team. That stuff's, I don't know if people have seen this, but we've been doing this like quality of life updates, where in our Facebook group, we ask people like, what's your quick win quality of life thing? Like, it's a small dev thing, so these would be good examples, where it would make your life so much better. And we've had these like hundreds of comments, each with like one idea, and we'll bring that to the dev team. We'll we'll see how many people like each one, and someone, a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them will win. We'll make those things and ship them. And that's been really fun. So if you do see that, next time you see one of the quality of life threads, post it in there, or you can send that one to me directly. That's totally fine. I'd be happy to that totally makes sense why you'd want that.
I think the only quality of life thing that I would like, besides this, because this one does bother me too, I wish I could enter the customer name and the rest of the ticket details when creating a new ticket. It bothers me that I have to enter a customer name, select the customer, and then hit the create ticket button, and it's 2 pages.
I think we maybe have your dream thing already.
Oh.
Have you seen custom ticket workflows?
No. Well,
Oh.
let me say yes-ish. I see
So
that they
there's-
exist, and I started to create one, and here's where I got confused. Other PSA tools call workflows automation, or call automations workflows. So I was looking at, all right, I keep getting this Datto email. They won't reply to me when I ask them to help me fix something, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm just going to automatically close the ticket. So I went to ticket workflows, thinking that's where I needed to be. I'm like, this is not right. So then
Yeah.
so I'm like, back up. I went to ticket automations and did it. Automations
Yeah.
look great. But yeah,
Here,
workflows,
let me show
I'll
you
need to learn.
this. This is pretty cool. So, where am I? Here. There. Start sharing. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, so if you make a workflow, this basically replaces that whole create a ticket page.
Oh.
And you choose, hey, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this to be required, and it's got all the different sections, and you can completely change it.
Okay,
And then when you
that's
make
cool.
a ticket, you can set one of these as default.
That is very cool. All right, so I'm going to do that too. Let me. I'm going to share my screen. This is going to be a multiple step process just because I'm in 9 different apps to do this for people. All right, so share screen. Sure, yeah. Of course, I'll give you access to everything, everywhere. Why wouldn't I do that, Skype? Do you want to quit Skype? That's a bad idea. Let's not. Let's try this again. Ticket workflow. Alright, so you are seeing my screen.
Yep.
And now I need to get the people. Here we go. So in theory, nope. Show. Google Chrome ticket workflow. There we go. Okay. So if I come in here and I hit new workflow, just call this ticket. Okay. So what if the customer already exists?
Well, it's if the customer already exists, then you should be able to find it already.
Oh, like it'll pop in.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do these two, and I don't. There's so many choices here, Ian. This is overwhelming. I don't care about address or any of this, or this, or this. All right, subjects required. That seems fair. Oh wait, no. Subject's not required. It's not even visible.
I think you have to have it.
Okay. Descriptions required. just going to change it to show, because why not? Assignee, priority, due date, she types required already.
So then at the very bottom there, you can add another section if you want to. So if you knew this ticket was associated with a particular asset, for example, you know, you can all you really need to do is add this section, and then you know, if you wanted to go on site for an appointment, you could put that here. But you can always add this stuff after you make the ticket too.
Sure. So now I've got this one here called ticket.
Yeah. So if you go back now.
You know, the one other thing I keep forgetting exists is this little plus button here.
Yep.
Because there's so many things up here. So obviously I'm on the trial, so that makes this. And then there's the green request a demo. Is this whole area not there if I were a paying customer?
Correct. Yeah, those all go away.
Okay. I wish this plus were bigger and not next to the search. I think it being next to the search, I assume it's a magnifying glass out of the corner of my eye, so I never look at it. Mm-hmm. So now if I go to new ticket.
So right now, if you go back to the workflows, you can set a default, which would replace this screen.
Oh.
But you haven't done that yet. But you can just click choose workflow and select ticket, and we can kind of see the... Yeah, so if you see under default ticket flow, you just, yep, gotcha. There you go, and that's
so
it.
So now when I come in here and I make a new ticket, oh, see, that's way better, Ian. Man, you just made my day.
Glad to do it.
Look at that. This guy's a rock star. All right. Well, I'm not sharing my screen with them anymore. I guess that's the important part. I can't even figure out how to stop sharing it with you, because who uses Skype, right? Just this guy. Ian, I really appreciate you coming out here and you doing this. Lonnie says, thinking about... I'm sorry, I keep wanting to like help you leave and go do anything else, but then I see one more comment. Thinking about using Syncro, will not use a ticketing system without autosave. Glad you mentioned that, Steve. Ian, please provide that.
Makes sense.
Now, I do remember seeing... I'm gonna... Since my screen's theoretically still being shared, I do remember seeing... if I go into a ticket... And I'll go into this ticket. Alright, so sometimes when you type in some stuff and then like it refreshes, there's a button that shows, this. Restore previously entered information. And if I hit restore, it does pull that back. I just need to remember that was there. Because sometimes I think when I do this and then I hit refresh, that's there, but if I do this, then sometimes it just gets all messed up. Yeah, see, so I type stuff in and now that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not perfect. I wish it were. Someone asked, can Syncro monitor network devices via SNMP?
Not yet. Just wait just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay. All right. I think we've answered all of their questions. I was at least able to show people that there is sort of a workaround for that, restoring things that you typed in. It's not perfect, but it sounds like that you guys are considering this quality of life update. We just need to get you guys a list of things that need to get fixed on the ticket screen here. That way when we add attachments, we don't lose all those paragraphs we typed in. Cool. Ian, anything that you would like to touch on before we wrap up?
No, just thanks for having me on, and it's always fun. I know you think you're beating me up, but I really don't mind.
I don't think I beat you up too bad today.
No,
I
not
asked you some harder questions, and the reason I think they're harder is because I don't think you're in this all day, every day, like some other people in the company.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I used to give all the demos and whatnot, and I'm a little removed from that at this point. But
right.
It's still fun for me to be on, and I like to stay involved in lots of stuff. And yeah, nothing in particular to say. But if anyone has questions or suggestions or anything like that, feel free to email me. I know they probably already saw Crystal, and you can email her as well. Yeah, thanks for having me on, and I know we'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Hey, thanks again for doing this. This was a lot of fun for me. Please stay safe in California, man. I didn't even put two and two together, like dumb white guy. I live in Ohio. I don't expect, the world to be on fire around me. So yeah, seriously, stay safe, and go to Colorado and maybe never go back to California.
Thanks. I will do my best to stay safe, and you do the same, and talk to you soon.
Cool. Take care, everybody.
Have you been looking for a way to stay focused on your goals and grow your MSP? Accountability groups from RocketMSP can help. We offer weekly accountability sessions that meet online with a group of your peers. Your success begins with accountability. Go to www.rocketmsp.io to join your accountability group today.